Welcome aboard, and thank you for tuning in to the Heavy Metal Truckers, where we give our honest thoughts and perspectives on all things heavy. We are your hosts. In this video, we decided to have a bit of a peaceful time. A bit of a time of reflection and relaxation. So we ultimately decided to listen to the latest album from Mayhem, Liturgy of Death. These are our thoughts.
When did I first hear about Mayhem? Oh, Lord, I don't know. Long-ass time ago.
Yeah.
Over 20 years ago. But they weren't anybody I really got super into. I knew of them. I'd heard some songs from them, but they weren't anybody I really got big into. So to the point that this is the first full album of theirs that I've heard. I've only heard singles here and there.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise. Yeah. So allowed me to go into it with an open mind for the most part. I mean, I kind of knew what I was getting into, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So start with the album, and the first song for me sounded like something you would hear while you're going through a haunted house. It really did for me. Like, that's what I was sitting there thinking. I'm like, this sounds like something you'd hear going through a haunted house. Yeah. I don't know if I had a favorite song on this album, because to me they were all kind of on the same level.
Yeah, they were. For the most part.
Which is good and bad. It's good because it helps create a very cohesive album, which it was a very cohesive album.
Holy.
What'd you do?
No, I pulled up their albums to kind of look at everything, and this is their first release in almost a decade.
Oh, really?
In
Interesting.
7 years. Sorry.
Well, anywho's, but yeah, it's a very cohesive album. I felt like, every song flowed well into the next one. The only negative to every song's kind of be on the same level is that you don't really get a ton of variety, which if anybody knows me, I'm big on variety.
The black metal.
Yeah. So for me, that would be a negative to every song kind of being on the same level. For other people, not so much, but all the songs had really good atmospheres to them, which kept me engaged. I like the different ways they did the vocals to almost like some spoken parts in a way, to your typical harshes and your different kind of screams, all that fun jazz. But yeah, I mean, even though a lot of the songs were long, there's only maybe one or two of them that actually felt long, which is good. One of which I think we actually did we covered on the channel.
It was.
I wonder which it was.
Despair, I think.
It might have been. But overall, I mean, for black metal album, I thought it was solid. I mean, I don't dislike black metal, but I'm pretty picky about black metal. But overall, I thought it was solid. I mean, I don't know if it's something I would go and buy per se, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And so I'd probably give this a 3.5 out of 5 as well, honestly.
Gotcha, sir.
I was introduced to Mayhem on this channel for this album. So I had no idea what to expect going into the album. At all. All I knew was that... no, not even the genre. All I knew was that Pincushion was excited for it, and I assumed that meant black metal, but you never know. I had no clue what to expect from this. So I got through 1.5 songs, put it down for like a day, and then I picked it up yesterday because I had to do the recording today for the channel, and I went, all right, let's get through this. I will agree with Doppler in his statement of cohesiveness, and also with his statement with variety. I am a big fan of variety, and this did not feel to have any of it. For me, at least. I felt like it was one gigantic song. I tried. I think there was like a hint of something interesting, I think, in the 4th track on the album. And then I got to the next song and I'm like, oh, no, back to go again. Here we go again. All right. Just continuation. And just, I'm not really a big black metal fan. I have been surprised by black metal, I will say, through this channel. But as a whole, yes, Black Braid for one. But as a whole, I'm not the biggest black metal fan. And this album fits very well into that genre, and I have no doubt that it probably did pretty well for most black metal heads out there. It, however, did not do well for me. But that's also because I'm not a black metal fan. So my rating on this album has to be a 1.5. I couldn't get through it without putting it down. I couldn't even get halfway through the second song without going, nope, tomorrow. So I'm sorry. It's not for me. I understand why some of you out there enjoy black metal and this style of music, but I don't. I like certain things within the black metal community, but just this one doesn't fit for me.
Well, hey, keep this in mind. We do a scale out of 5 now, so he almost had a 2 there. No.
I gave it that just because it's like, yes, it did have the cohesiveness, and yes, I feel like they did very well for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
but
understandable. Shit, I was introduced to Mayhem a long time ago. Wow, okay. Roughly 15 years ago, I think. It was, well, no, almost. It was right around the time whenever I really discovered black metal as a whole, which I started getting more into it on, it was a documentary on black metal, and it was called Black Metal Satanas, and that's originally where I had found Watain from, and so digging deeper, like, learned about the history and learned about Mayhem's history, that anyone who's either is into black metal or remotely knows about black metal knows Mayhem's history, and how they definitely do not like to talk about it for obvious reasons. And so they have one of the darkest histories in the metal world, as far as I'm concerned. That being stated, I greatly enjoyed them whenever I first heard of them, and they were just absolutely phenomenal. And I'd hear albums off and on from them, and then in 2019 they came out with Damon, and I loved that fucking album. And then whenever I saw they had a single coming out, we listened to the single, Wait for Nothing, and I just loved every second of it. And so I'm like, I am just so stoked for this album. We did the other singles, and going into this album, the first track was very interesting because Mayhem has decided to kind of step more into an ominous atmospheric aspect, as those two basically mentioned. And
yep.
I'm like, oh, they're kind of almost doing what Behemoth started to do after, or roughly around the Satanist era. And like, it was interesting. And then it kind of went on, and I'm like, this is definitely a new direction for them, or at least the kind of branching out that they were doing into the more ominous atmospheric aspect, because typically they're more just modern. They have more modern production of just old school black metal, or at least the second wave. And by the second track, I wasn't too sure how I was going to enjoy it, to be honest, just because it was definitely a big break from what I'm aware of them doing, even though they've had all kinds of changes from lineup changes as well, and just experimenting on different albums, including the ones that some people, including myself, didn't necessarily care for. Declaration of War, anyway. And or Grand Declaration of War, I'm sorry. And by the third track, Weep for Nothing, I'm like, okay, this one I remember. This where it's really getting good for me, kind of getting to that older style again. And then from Aeon's End to the end was fucking fantastic. Got back more to that old school style and thoroughly enjoyed everything. And even up to the very end, the Sentence of Absolution, I believe it was called. Sentence of Absolution. That one was intriguing because they ended it almost as the ending of a ritual, almost similar to what I would see Wittain doing. And having those tribal drums going and then just speaking the last sentence of the lyric, I thought was very fascinating. So everything sounded phenomenal the way it did, or what it was presented to me. And just drums sounded great. I think the vocalist's name is Attila. I'm probably wrong, or that was previous vocalist. He sounded amazing, especially whenever he began exploring more the clean chants that could have been heard in old hymns from can't remember his name. It was the son of Anton LaVey. Whenever he had his satanic hymns, and he was doing that in the 80s, it was kind of reminiscent of that. So I was intrigued by that, and then he would just go into the standard old school traditional black metal style vocals. And then, of course, Necro Butcher, the bassist, is just absolutely phenomenal. The guitarist, I'm not sure what their names are, but they were doing great in their own right as well. So for this, I would have to probably actually... I was debating on this for a while. I honestly would probably have to put it at 3.5, and it's not higher because the tracks that I really did enjoy, they weren't all that long. The tracks that I was meh on, they were the longer ones, so I felt like I had to stomach through some of it just because I'm like, what in the hell is going on? But then again, the whole point of black metal is to create something that is not mainstream, something that is far from what people would enjoy. It was originally meant for a very niche crowd, people that just wanted to hear just obscure, extreme nonsense almost. And so, in that regard, that did very well. But I've also heard what they did on their last album, which I probably preferred a little bit more just because it was slightly more chaotic. So, I mean, again, everything was still phenomenally done. It's just, I personally had issues with some of the, I guess, ways that they went into the atmospheric aspects and more ominous essences, I guess I could say. So, yeah, slight departure from what I was hoping for, but still not terrible by any means. It'd be interesting to see them explore more of what they did on here and see if they could, again, this kind of goes against what black metal is, but like refine it. I guess this felt experimental. If they refined it into maybe something darker or more twisted, then what it was, that'd be really interesting and really just unsettling. So I'd like to hear something more along the lines of that within the next release. But do I plan on buying this album? At some point, because it was still damn good, but finances are a thing, so can't do it right now. But yeah, that was our perspectives on the latest album from Mayhem, Liturgy of Death. We encourage you to listen to it for yourself and obtain your own perspectives, and maybe you'll enjoy it way more than we did. Or you'll be like, it's the last time listening to it from Mayhem, even though I didn't like them to begin with, because maybe you felt that way. I don't know. Anyways, whether musically, lyrically, or literally, keep rolling heavy.